Session for the 31st Guam Youth Congress is hereby called to order. I call on Representative LeBang for the prayer.
In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Lord, thank you for this day and help us to be open-minded and decide for the betterment of our island. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Do not bring us into temptation, and deliver us from evil. Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen.
I call on Representative Dichoso for the anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early
I call on Representative Cruz for the Guam hymn. I call on Representative Makepeace for the Inifresi.
Inifresi, Ginanas Dakilu, Ginanas Som.
Thank you. You may be seated. Could I get roll call?
Representative Adawag. Representative Angara. Representative Blas, Representative Carranza, Representative Casilla, Representative Cruz, Representative DeLore, Representative DiCioso, Representative Fajarin, Representative Felicen, Representative LeBang, Representative Lorenzo, Representative Makepeace, Vice Speaker Keandra McDonald, Representative Kenny McDonald, Representative Quintanilla, Representative Richards, Representative Rigetti, Speaker Santos, Representative Stiles, Representative Tamagan, Representative Valencia. Mr. Speaker, there is a quorum.
Thank you. Moving on to call for approval of the Legislative Journal. Representative Valencia, you've been recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Before that, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to move that members not present be excused.
There's been a motion to excuse those who are not present here today. Is there anyone opposed to this motion? Seeing as there are none, motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would now like to make a motion to waive items 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 of our legislative session agenda.
There's been a motion to waive items 7 to 11 on the legislative agenda today. Is there anybody opposed? Seeing as there are none, motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Moving on to item 12, introduction and first reading of bills and resolutions. Could I get the first reading?
Bill number 15-31, as amended by the Committee on Health and Human Services and Gender Affairs, introduced by Al Edrich C. LeBang, an act to amend sections 21104, 21107, and 21109 of Chapter 21, and to add a new section 21118 to Chapter 21, all of Title 10, Guam Code Annotated, relative to sanitary inspections. Resolution number 10-31, introduced by Maurice Tamagan, Gia C. Rigetti, Javen W. Santos, relative to observing and commemorating December 1st, 2017 as World AIDS Day in order to bring awareness to HIV and AIDS prevention and to rise in solidarity with those living with the disease and remembering those who have died due to AIDS.
Moving on to motions. Do we have any motions? Representative LeBang, you're recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I move Bill 15-31 to second reading file.
There's been a motion to move Bill 15-31 to the second reading file for discussion. Is there anybody opposed? Seeing as there are none, motion passes. Representative LeBang, you can make your opening statements.
Mr. Speaker, fellow representatives, the reason why I created Bill 15-31 is to address the issue of food establishment sanitary permit. It's been bothering me for the past few months, especially Micronesia Mall closing down some food stalls and Guam Premier Outlet closing some food stalls. I think it's a big concern when it comes to our economy of tourism, but it also brings concerns on the people of Guam. We all know that food brings people in Guam together. Like in Fiesta, there are a lot of people lining up for the food after the procession. In parties, we often wait for the balutan. If food is handled incorrect way, It brings a big concerns. Unhealthy food establishment can lead to serious health problems like diarrhea outbreak. Furthermore, infestation of different kind of animals like rats. We all know about the Black Death. The Black Plague or Black Death killed most people of Europe during the medieval time. But since we have some advancement on medicine, we handled it. But the bottom line is here. Even though there is an immunity to the disease, an outbreak can still happen. Closing food establishment due to failing health inspection jeopardize our economy. And moreover, it's happening more than once per year. Like San Jose Supermarket and Mighty, they were closed twice this year, and they're still closed as of the moment. This is a habitual way already. That's why I created another section 2118. Mr. Speaker and fellow representative, enough is enough. This reform would allow establishments that were closed to have more time to fix all issues related to sanitation. It would entitle the people of Guam a healthy food from restaurants and cooked in their homes. I hope that all of you support this and make Guam food establishments great again. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative LeBang. Is there anybody who would like to speak on Bill 15-31? Representative Valencia, you're recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'd just like to reiterate the former speaker's concerns about how food establishments here, or the cleanliness of our food establishments on Guam, are very crucial to our tourism industry. And our tourists see these, or they eat at these food establishments, and it should be our duty to make sure that they are as clean as possible, that they follow health provisions. And I do respect the author's intent with regards to this bill, but I believe if we put the provisions of this bill into practice, and I'm looking at page 2, section 2, the author aims to amend chapter 21 of title 10 to add scheduled inspections to the current process. And I get the intent, Mr. Speaker, but I think that might be the wrong way to go about it, because let's say, for example, we do put this into practice, we do pass this, and they have, or the Department of Public Health is supposed to do scheduled inspections. Who's to say that these food establishments will just clean their places the day before the scheduled inspections, and just so that they'll pass the inspection by the director or by the public health? Yeah. I'd just like to point that out, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Valencia. Is there anybody else who would like to speak on Bill 15-31? Representative Makepeace, you're recognized.
I would like to pose a question to Representative LeBang.
Representative LeBang, do you yield to question?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Representative LeBang, just for the sake of clarity, can you define renovation of the establishment found in page 5, section 5, subsection 2118 or 21118?
Renovation is basically just fixing the whole place, like changing all the cabinets, changing the counter tables, changing everything inside the establishment.
So would that be a complete renovation then?
I'm sorry?
Would that be a... Thank you.
What's your question?
Is there anybody else who would like to speak on the bill? Seeing as there are none, oh, Representative Stiles, you are recognized.
Just like to include a point of information. The bill, as introduced, stipulates for the inclusion of 2 surprise inspections, the addition of 2 scheduled inspections, and I believe, I might be incorrect on this, but the original code suggests that, or states that the date of inspection shall be noted on the permit. So they would, as far as I can tell, be scheduled inspections anyway. That's all I wanted to point out.
Thank you, Representative Stiles. Is there anybody else who would like to speak on the bill? Representative DiCioso, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If I could, I would like to pose a question to Representative LeBang.
Representative LeBang, do you yield? Just remember,
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Just remember you must refer to the chair.
Okay.
So I'm kind of in the middle as to how I feel about this bill. I believe that Representative Valencia put a valid point when he mentioned the spontaneous nature of these inspections. It really puts establishments in a point where they have to be accountable for the cleanliness of their establishment. So my question for you is, what are the merits of having these scheduled inspections, and what makes it at least a step forward compared to just having spontaneous inspections?
Mr. Chair, actually, I did this to give fairness to the establishment. Like, if all the inspection are surprise, then like they don't know when would it be, and like they don't have time to prepare for it. Like, at least we know some establishments don't care about health of the safety, but like, how about those who cares about the food establishments?
Representative DiCioso, do you have any further questions?
No further questions. Thank you.
Thank you both. Is there anybody else who would like to speak on the bill? Are there any amendments? Representative Blas, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to propose an amendment to Bill 15-31. It's regarding the new section 21-118, habitual suspension of permit. And it'll be on line 23 of page 5. Instead of it being section 6 enactment, I would like to add a new subsection, section C. So basically, if you don't understand what 21-118 is all about, it's basically the habitual suspension of permit, basically a creation of a watch list regarding businesses that have suspended permits. And basically, I'll read off subsection C for you all. An HSOP that would be habitual suspension permit, shall comply with the same posting as that required and of the same title, SS 21105, which is the possession, posting, and inspection of health certificates. In addition and adjacent on either side of the HSOP, the director shall provide a written notice to patrons or visitors of such establishments announcing that if any violation of any section of this chapter are observed, they may contact the Department of Public Health and Social Services. Indicated in this notice, the director shall provide business contact numbers and hours of operation. After business contact numbers, hotline numbers, and any and all electronic websites, emails, or any social applications that may be related to this chapter. No person other than the director shall remove, deface, destroy, or conceal such report. The original copy of such report shall be retained by the director.
Representative Valencia?
Mr. Speaker, could we just have a copy of the amendment, please?
Yeah.
If we can.
Could we call a recess to have the copy of the amendment circled around? Session for the 31st Guam Youth Congress is hereby called to order. Can I get a reading of the amendment?
Representative Blah's amendment is on line 23, page 5 of Bill number 15-31. In use subsection C, a habitual suspension of permit shall comply with the same posting as that required in of this same title, sections 21103, possession, posting, and inspection of health certificates. In addition and adjacent on either side of the HSOP, the director shall provide a written notice to patrons or visitors of such establishments announcing that if any violation of any section of this chapter are observed, they may contact the Department of Public Health and Social Services. Indicated in this notice, the director shall provide business contact numbers and hours of operation. After business contact numbers, hotline numbers, and any and all electronic websites, emails, or any social applications that may be related to this chapter, no person other than the director shall remove, deface, destroy, or conceal such report. The original copy of the report shall be retained by the director.
Representative Blas, you are recognized.
I would just like to clarify that the section that this amendment's regarding to, it's actually section 21105, not 21103. Excuse my handwriting.
Thank you, Representative Blas. Is there anybody who would like to speak on the amendment? Representative Blas, can we get just your statement on the amendment?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So with this new section that Representative LeBang is making regarding 21118, habitual suspension of permit, adding subsection C would actually go hand in hand with his watch list. And basically, this watch list would be made known to the public by the Department of Public Health, and it will be open to mass media to be published on, for example, newspapers and websites. So with subsection C, it would create an easier outlet for patrons of restaurants and such establishments to notice or observe anything wrong with these establishments. And by contacting the Department of Public Health and Social Services, it would make it easier for the team of inspectors to be notified that such businesses that they are being called about must be inspected. And with this in mind, it goes hand in hand with this new section. So, thank you.
Thank you, Representative Blas. Is there anybody who would like to speak on the amendment? Representative Felician, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The last line, or the second to the last line, no person other than the director shall remove, deface, destroy, or conceal such report. Does that mean that, or can I pose a question to Representative Blas?
Representative Blas, do you yield to question?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I yield.
Representative Felician, you can proceed.
The second to the last line, no person other than the director shall remove, deface, destroy, or conceal such report. Does that mean that only the director can remove, deface, destroy, or conceal that report?
Oh, I see what you mean. I should just make it remove or conceal instead of just destroy or deface. That's okay. So I'll just revise it to be the director shall remove or conceal such report. Would that make more sense to you?
Yeah.
Are you making an amendment to the amendment?
Oh, okay. Okay, so sure, I'll make an amendment to this. So it'll just be amendment to the amendment. So it'll be the person or any other no person shall remove, deface, destroy, or conceal such report given by the director.
Okay, there's an amendment to the amendment currently up for discussion. Is there anybody else who would like to? Oh, Representative Fleeson, do you have any further questions?
Oh, no.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Representative Bloss. Is there anybody who would like to speak on this new amendment? Is there anybody else who would like to speak on the amendment to this amendment? Representative LeBang, you are recognized.
I just want to thank Representative Bloss for the amendment and for making this better. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative LeBang. If there is no further discussion to the amendment, then we'll okay. Are there any objections to the amendment, to this amendment? Okay, Representative Valencia. Seeing as there are none, this amendment to the amendment hereby passes. Moving on, we're currently discussing the amendment made by Representative Bloss to Bill 15-31. Is there anybody that would like to speak on the amendment? Seeing as there are none, are there any objections to the amendment? Seeing as there are none, the amendment hereby passes. All right, we are now talking about, or we're now currently discussing Bill 15-31 as amended on the floor. Is there anybody who would like to speak on this bill? Representative LeBang.
Can I make an amendment, just like to clarify the whole thing? On page 2, line 11, 3 months totaling to at least 4, let's add in a year. 4 in a year, just to clarify the whole thing.
Oh, okay. There is currently an amendment on the floor. Is there anybody who would like to speak on the amendment? Seeing as there are none, are there any objections to the amendment? Seeing as there are none, the amendment hereby passes. We are now discussing Bill 15-31 as recently amended. Is there anybody who would like to speak on the bill? Representative Casilla, you're recognized.
So I'd just like to express my support for this this bill. I do see how there's a problem with some of our establishments not being able to keep up with some regulations, and I'm not sure if this bill's. I do support the intention and what it's trying to do, but I like to see how it will work. In the past bills we've done regarding other issues, we've always we haven't always, but most of the time we've been either increasing the severity of penalties, but I'm very hopeful that instead of increasing the penalties, now we're kind of increasing the, what's that word? Just what's that? Yeah, increasing the accountability and making sure that the Department of Health is doing their job and making sure that the establishments are keeping up with their regulations. So yeah, very hopeful for this bill, and we'll see how this how this works out. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Katsila. Is there anybody else who would like to speak on Bill 15-31 as amended on the floor? Representative Richards, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd also like to speak about my support of the intent of the bill, but I'm not sure how much of an impact it's going to make. We're not changing the frequency of the inspections, we're just specifying the amount. And to my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, current public health inspections, they give the establishment a time frame of which they're going to inspect, and then they come randomly within that time frame, unless I'm mistaken. So it's kind of a hybrid between the 2 surprise and the 2 scheduled. So I'm just a little iffy on whether or not it's going to make a difference, because as from what I've seen, what we've seen in just recently with GPO, the system seems to be working. So I support the last section of the bill to establish the watch list. I think that's a good idea, but as for the subsection 21104 on page 2, I'm just not sure that that's going to make a difference at all. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Richards. Is there anybody else who would like to speak on the bill? Representative Stiles, you're recognized.
While I do agree with the inclusion of surprise inspections, I think it could serve to increase the level of accountability for our food establishments here on Guam. I think that it might be prudent to define what a surprise inspection might entail. I do think that, you know, a health inspector's showing up to some establishment with no notice at all might be construed as truly construed as unfair. I'm pretty sure, and this might come as a shock to some people, but nobody's perfect. And well, anyway, I think yeah, a time frame. I think maybe we should make a stride or make an amendment to define or give some idea of what the time frame for a surprise inspection might entail. Is that a day's notice? Is that an hour's notice? Either way, I don't think it should be construed to mean absolutely no notice whatsoever. That might ultimately result in perfectly reputable establishments being either shut down or given sub-A level inspection kind of things as a result. Might be bad for the for Guam's tourism industry in the end, infrastructure, that sort of thing. If a lot of establishments get shut down or fail their inspections due to a lack of a fair notice, and that's all I have to say.
I'm sorry, Representative Stiles, can you clarify? Are you making an amendment to the bill?
Sure. I could make an amendment to the bill. I would like to propose an amendment to Bill 15-31, page 2, lines 11. Okay, let's see. Could I be given just a little bit of time to compose an amendment, and then I'll get right back to it.
Sure, no problem.
All right.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak on the bill as currently amended on the floor? Seeing as there are none, could we take a quick recess so that we can work on Representative Styles' amendment? All right, we're going to take a recess. The 31st Guam Youth Congress is hereby called back to session. Representative Stiles, I believe, has an amendment he would like to proctor.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to amend Bill 15-31 to read on lines 11 and 12, strike through 2 surprise inspections and 2 scheduled inspections, and in its stead include 4 random inspections with a minimum of 30 minutes and a maximum of 60 minutes notice to given establishment or to the establishment in question. The lattermost, to the establishment in question. And also to amend line 13, strike through 2 scheduled, and in its stead, just each inspection. So also strike through 2 scheduled inspections, and in its stead, place the date of each inspection. So just inspection in its place. That's my amendment.
Is there anybody who would like to speak on the amendment? Seeing as there are none, are there any objections to the amendment? All right, seeing as there are none, the amendment hereby passes. We are now discussing Bill 15-31 as currently amended. Is there anybody who would like to speak on the bill as it's currently amended? Seeing as there are none, Representative Labang, you can make your closing.
Thank you for the representative that made the amendment to make my bill better, and I would hope that you support this bill. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I make a motion to move Bill 15-31 to third reading file.
There's been a motion to move Bill 15-31 to the third reading file. Is there anybody opposed? Representative Valencia has made an objection. Can we take it to a vote? By show of hands, all those in favor of moving Bill 13-31, or I'm sorry, Bill 15-31 to the third reading file, can you raise your hand? Show of hands, those in favor of moving Bill 15-31 to the second reading file, please raise your hand. Oh, third reading file. Okay, sorry. Let me get this. All those in favor of moving Bill 15-31 to the third reading file, please raise your hand. 1, 2. With 9 votes, the Bill 15-31 is hereby moved to the third reading file. Are there any other motions to be made? Representative Tamagan, you are recognized.
Thank you, Speaker. I would like to move Resolution 10-31 to the second reading file for discussion.
There's a motion to move Resolution 10-31 to the second reading file for discussion. Is there anybody opposed? Seeing as there are none, motion passes. Representative Tamagan, you can make your opening statements.
Thank you, Speaker. Hello, my fellow Youth Congress representatives. I, the main sponsor of this resolution, would like you all to know the importance of the World AIDS Day. This is a major problem not only for the island, but for the whole world. HIV and AIDS aren't only a danger to the adults, but also to the youth. World AIDS Day is on the 1st of December, where people unite to fight against HIV and show support for people living with AIDS. On this day, we also recognize the people who died from AIDS or other related illnesses. The youth of Guam are familiar with these illnesses, which is because 1 in 4 new HIV infections in this country are among youth ages 13 to 24. This is because the youth thinks that they can't catch AIDS or HIV through unprotected sex. We need to take this seriously because the youth is our island's future. We need to enforce our youth to learn and practice safe sex to prevent them from catching these dangerous illnesses. I myself had an uncle who died from this illness, and he went through was unbelievable. I wouldn't want to see any other person in this room or outside of this room to go through what he went through. And with that difference, we can make our island not only stronger, but healthier and safer. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Tamagan. Is there anybody who would like to speak on the resolution? Representative Lorenzo, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would just like to express my support of this resolution. I think that it's another important issue that should be tackled, and I would like to say good job. I think it's a really good resolution. It's addressing another very important issue, and I hope that you all support it too. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Lorenzo. Is there anybody else who would like to speak on the resolution? Seeing as there are none, Representative Tamagan, you can make your closing statement.
I ask you, my fellow representatives, to please think about the importance of the World AIDS Day and how we can encourage others to prevent them from gaining these illnesses and also how we can support people who live with AIDS and make them feel accepted on our island. We need to recognize this day to show everyone on this island that we can prevent all of these illnesses from becoming more of a danger towards our future generations. Thank you.
Speaker Santos, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As a co-sponsor, I would like to express my 100% support of this resolution. This resolution comes not only to recognize the observance of the holiday, but it also comes to recognize just how this issue is an issue that's important for us as youth to recognize. I know a lot of us as youth do not recognize certain things like the awareness of practicing safe sex, and this just to increase the awareness of these issues and to make sure that people know that the impacts of all the decisions that they make, especially as youth. One of the whereas clauses in here, I believe, say that according to the Center of Disease Control, about 1 in 4 new HIV infections among the country are youth ages 13 to 24. And that's exactly the body that the Youth Congress represents. And that shows that this is a youth issue as well. Just to recognize some of the other statistics in here, the third whereas clause states that data has shown that Pacific Islanders have the 3rd highest susceptibility to HIV out of the other racial demographics. And us living on Guam, us as Pacific Islanders need to recognize that this is something that we need to control, and this is something that impacts not only people as a whole, but every individual. And every individual, especially, I feel as though a lot of the youth today, in terms of discussion in practicing safe sex, there's a lot of disconnect. A lot of times people would see safe sex as something that they don't want to talk about. So that means that it's not recognized. And if we're not talking about it, the importance of it can be forgotten. At the end of the day, I feel as though World AIDS Day is something that it's an issue that it's a day to not only recognize the dangers, it's also a day to, as the resolution says, rise in solidarity with those living with the disease and honoring the memory of those who've died. All of this, and I think I'd just like to say that HIV and AIDS is not only an issue that has spread out to all demographics, but in history we have seen that HIV and AIDS is an LGBT issue. And though it's not directly stated in the resolution itself, I'd just like to point out that fact, that the spread of HIV and AIDS in the LGBT community in the past is one of the reasons why, it's a huge issue, and the spread had come from those, the spread had come from the disease not being recognized and not being as talked about until it was spread to the rest of, to outside the community. And in recognizing World AIDS Day, we also want to recognize all those who have lost their lives to it. And historically, that has been, historically a lot of that has included the LGBT community. And in conclusion, I just want to say that, once again, I 100% support this resolution as a co-sponsor, and I hope that all of the representatives here today see that World AIDS Day is to rise in solidarity with this issue as a youth issue, as the statistics have shown, would, I guess I would say that it's our duty to do that, to rise in solidarity with this issue. And I hope that the rest of the representatives recognize that too. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Speaker Santos. Would you please resume the chair?
Thank you, Representative. Thank you, Representative Richards. Representative Tamagan, you can make your motion.
Thank you, Speaker. I'd like to make a motion to move Resolution 10-31 to the third reading file.
There's been a motion to move Resolution 10-31 to the third reading file. Is there anybody opposed? Seeing as there are none, motion passes. Can I get second roll call? Representative Valencia, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to make a motion that the second roll call reflect the first roll call.
There's been a motion to reflect second roll call as first roll call. Is there anybody opposed? Seeing as there are none, motion passes. Can I get the third reading file?
Bill number 15-31, as amended by the Committee on Health and Human Services and Gender Affairs, and further amended on the floor, introduced by Al Edrich C. Labang. An act to amend sections 21104, 21107, and 21109 of Chapter 21, and to add a new section 21118 to Chapter 21, all of Title 10, Guam Code annotated, relative to sanitary inspections. Representative Blas. No. Representative Blas, aye. Representative Casilla. Representative Casilla, pass. Representative Cruz. Representative Cruz, aye. Representative Dichoso. Representative Dichoso, aye. Representative Felicen. Representative Felicen, aye. Representative Labang. Representative Labang, aye. Representative Lorenzo. Representative Lorenzo, pass. Representative Makepeace. Representative Makepeace, pass. Representative Quintanilla. Representative Quintanilla, aye. Representative Richards. Representative Richards, pass. Speaker Santos. Speaker Santos, aye. Representative Stiles. Representative Stiles, pass. Representative Tamagan. Representative Tamagan, aye. Representative Valencia. Representative Valencia, nay. Representative Casilla. Representative Casilla, aye. Representative Lorenzo. Representative Lorenzo, no, nay. Representative Makepeace. Representative Makepeace, pass. Representative Richards. Representative Richards, nay. Representative Stiles. Representative Stiles, pass. Representative Makepeace. Representative Makepeace, nay. Representative Stiles. Representative Stiles, nay.
With a vote of 9 ayes and 5 nays, Bill 15-31 hereby passes.
Resolution number 10-31, introduced by Maurice Tamagan, Gia C. Rigetti, Javen W. Santos, relative to observing and commemorating December 1st, 2017 as World AIDS Day, in order to bring awareness to HIV and AIDS prevention, and to rise in solidarity with those living with the disease and remembering those who have died due to AIDS. Representative Blas. Representative Blas, aye. Representative Casilla. Representative Casilla, aye. Representative Cruz. Representative Cruz, aye. Representative Dichoso. Representative Dichoso, aye. Representative Felicen. Representative Felicen, aye. Representative Labang. Representative Labang, aye. Representative Lorenzo. Representative Lorenzo, aye. Representative Makepeace. Representative Makepeace, aye. Representative Quintanilla. Representative Quintanilla, aye. Representative Richards. Representative Richards, aye. Speaker Santos. Speaker Santos, aye. Representative Stiles. Representative Stiles, aye. Representative Tamagan. Representative Tamagan, aye. Representative Valencia. Representative Valencia, aye.
With unanimous vote, resolution number 10-31 hereby passes. Moving on. Brief extension of remarks. Is there anybody who would like to talk about the matters we've discussed today? Representative Valencia?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'd just like to explain why I voted nay on bill number 15-31. I'd just like to reiterate that I do support the intent of the author, but as I have been listening throughout this session, there was one statement made by one of our representatives that really caught my attention and really made me think about making a stance on this bill, and it was that the current system is working. And I don't think there's, as we have seen in the papers and with the current establishments at GPO, I think the system is working, and anything that would maybe jeopardize the current system might prove to be negative for this island. And I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Valencia. Is there anybody else who would like to speak on the matters we discussed today? Representative Richards?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd also like to clarify my actions today. If you may have noticed, I was in the discussion on the amendment of the bill, and I voted no, even though I helped author the amendment. But the reason why I did that is because even if I disagree with the bill itself, I think that no matter what goes to our attention here in session, I think it should be in its best form possible. So I'm glad to help bring it to that state. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Richards. Is there anybody else who would like to speak on the matters we've discussed today? Seeing as there are none, we can move on to announcements. Does anybody have announcements? Representative Lorenzo, you recognized?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Okay, as you may know, Guam Youth Congress has a community service activity this Tuesday, November 21st. We are going to be feeding Camel and Caridot at the Agania location. Please come and help. And if you are unable to come, we ask that you please donate. And if you want to donate, there's a menu that I sent out to all the emails, and just simply add your name. Yes, and then also, Guam Youth Congress is going to be linking with Senator Lee's office for PSA at the Political Science Student Association at the University of Guam. They're having a toiletry donation. So this includes, it's also on the email, but includes disposable razors, shampoo, conditioner, just some of the necessities that we have that others may not, and all the donations will benefit skilled nursing units at Barragata Heights. And the final donation date is this Wednesday, November 22nd. And if you are able to donate, you are able to drop it to Senator Lee's office, and they will donate it on behalf of Guam Youth Congress. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Lorenzo. Is there anybody else who would like to make an announcement? Representative Felician.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Tomorrow there is a car wash in Wendy's Barragata from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. If you got a dirty car, you should see me. It's like $5 for a ticket, or for a thing. That's it.
Wait, where does it? What's it for? What's the fundraiser for?
Oh, it's for our music club in yeah, it's a music club in Ukudu. It's to help fund for our trip to Saipan. Yeah. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Felician. Is there anybody else who would like to? Representative Richards.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd just like to announce that the Village of Jigo is hosting the annual Citrus Festival this weekend, today and tomorrow. It's culminating tomorrow night at 9 p.m. with some fireworks, so if you want to come up, not down, if you want to come up and enjoy it with us, you're very welcome. Thank you.
Representative LeBang, you have an announcement? Thank you, Representative Richards.
I just want to wish good luck to all UOG and GCC students. We have roughly 3 more weeks till finals. Hope do all your best. And for the high schoolers, hope do all your best for the end of the semester. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative LeBang. Representative Richards, you have another announcement?
One more. I'd just like to recognize that this past Monday was Representative Valencia's 21st birthday, so if we could all give him a round of applause. Woo! Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Richards, and happy belated Representative Valencia. All right. Is there any other announcements we'd like to make? Representative Valencia? Oh. Is there any other announcements? If not, we're going to make a motion to adjourn. Okay, Representative Valencia, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I move that the body adjourn, subject to the call of the Speaker.
There's been a motion to adjourn session at the call of the Speaker. Is there anybody opposed? Seeing as there are none, session is adjourned.